one wants to say the wrong thing, but if we don't talk about diversity, we can't move forward.
That is the idea behind a $50 million diversity and inclusion initiative at USC. As part of that, USC is holding a week of events to tackle these tough topics. And joining us are Renee Smith-Maddox, Associate Dean of Diversity and Equity Inclusion, and also Camille Gear Rich, USC Associate Provost. Thank you both for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having us.
So this is the third annual Diversity Week at USC. What spawned this 3 years ago?
I think we recognized there was a real hunger for these conversations. When you have all these issues of difference and you don't have a space to actually talk about them, resentment can generate, misunderstandings can develop, and we decided that we really needed to have more dialogue, more exchange as USC becomes a more diverse place, as the world sort of recognizes its diversity and really celebrates it. We wanted to create spaces to celebrate that and actually have the challenging conversations that have to happen in order to make real use of it.
I think it's to see challenging conversations, because they are challenging, and one of the things that we talked about here was sort of the fear, because people are afraid of saying the wrong thing, and with social media now, and you watch this on TV, someone says something, and next thing you know, someone's down your throat. So how do you cultivate sort of an environment where people are free and open to say stuff that might be offensive to another person?
Well, you have to develop a variety of mediums for that to happen. And it starts off with creating spaces where people can hear each other, where I could tell my story, you can tell your story. We could see that there's some similarities and differences, and quite often people don't get that opportunity. So how do you start to create that trust? How do you start to create a culture where this is the norm? It's okay. And you know what? We're going to make mistakes.
And stepping back just a little bit here, what does diversity mean? This is well beyond just skin color.
That's right. I mean, I think the first thing people think about when they think about diversity is ethnic diversity. Sometimes they think about religious diversity. But the way we're using the term, we really are, we have an emphasis on race, on gender, sexual orientation, some of the things you typically think about. But diversity also covers obesity issues, issues of disability, veteran status. And there are ways in which when you expand the conversation to include all of these groups, I think you get past some of that trepidation, some of that anxiety, because everyone has some issue of difference that they're negotiating, that they're thinking about. And if we can use those things as a bridge to start having these broader conversations, then everyone feels included and feels like they have something to offer.
So how do you feel that this was received by the younger people? Because, listen, these are people who are growing up in a different generation. Black Lives Matter, Me Too, all of these different various movements that have sprung up just within the last couple of years, but they are basically growing up with this. They see the intensity on both sides, and then they are thrown into a university setting where all these ideas are being sort of churned about. So how has this been received?
I think it's been received very well, because it gives our students, particularly, it's a training ground. So if we're training our students to go into the real world where all of these complexities will still exist, then USC becomes the leader in training them to be ready for it. So it's not unfamiliar. It's not about getting comfortable with it, because it still will remain uncomfortable to talk about issues you've never experienced or never seen, but to be aware. It starts with being aware.
And what about the payoff here? We mentioned $50 million initiative. Where's this money going? What's actually going on campus?
So this week's events is really just a small part of that larger initiative. We already have the Center for Race and Equity with Sean Harper at USC. That has programming over the course of the year, so people should keep their eyes open for that. We're also going to have a new center on diversity excellence, and we're still sort of coming up with the exact title for that, but that's also going to produce programming over the course of the year. This week's events just give you a snapshot of what USC has to offer. Really, all of the personnel there at the school, faculty, some staff have weighed in and sort of produced just a beautiful mosaic.
I just hope this works and we have a more tolerant future, right?
That's the
tolerant
plan.
Young people, tolerant future. Thank you so much,
ladies.
Renee Smith-Maddox, and Equity Inclusion, Camille Gear Rich. Thank you so much.
Fight on, ladies. Fight on.
on.
We'll be right back with top stories.
Whether you're a club enthusiast, a bar aficionado, or an escape artist, you'll find more ways to escape, more ways to celebrate, and more ways to win at the all-new Pechanga Resort Casino. Play your perfect combination.
Over 40 years ago, Russ Brown set out on a mission to help injured riders. We fight for the rights of riders every day because we are riders and we know what you're going through. If you're injured in a motorcycle accident, don't fight the insurance companies with just any lawyer. Call 1-800-4BIKERS.
These guys will have your back. If you go down, call Russ Brown, motorcycle attorney.
When money's tight and emergencies arise, CashNetUSA.com is available 24/7.